In this lesson, we'll be setting up for a CNC mill. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to create a new CAM setup and select bodies and fixtures to focus on. Let's carry on with the file from our previous example and let's create a CNC mill setup. We're going to navigate to our manufacturer workspace, and inside here we already have three separate setups: Soft Draw Setup 1, Soft Draw Setup 2, and our multi-axis setup. In this case, we want to create a new setup that's going to be our stock prep. So we're going to go into Setup, we're going to be using Milling, and we're going to change the model orientation. I'm going to use my Y-axis as my reference for Z, and we'll need to flip the direction to make sure that Z is pointing up. I also need to make sure that the model that I'm looking at is going to be the specific model that we want to machine. So we'll expand our stock, expand the bodies, and select the Ready to Machine body. Then I want to make sure the orientation of my coordinate system is correct. So I'm going to flip X, then select a box point, and put it at the corner. From here in the stock section, I'm going to change the mode to be from solid. We're going to be using our starting stock, and after we select it, we can go ahead and hide that body and show the Ready to Machine body. So now from Setup, we also want to go in and select Fixture. Because each of these are individual bodies, I'm going to go to my browser and I'm going to select the Stock Prep Fixture. You'll notice that when I do this, it shows an extra body or a bounding box on the screen. If we expand this, notice that there is a stock body inside of here. So this stock body is a portion of this entire design. What I want to do instead is hold down the Control key and deselect the stock. You'll notice that I can go through here and I can select and deselect each one of these. So now I have the subplate, the vise, the jaw, and the adapter, and this will allow me to use this as a fixture inside of my setup. Now keep in mind, as we've seen already, the fixture isn't going to be part of the collision checking between the holder and the flute of the tool. Now you will visually see a collision, the tool and then the holder will turn red. However, when we're using options in multi-axis toolpaths or toolpaths that take a look at the shaft and the holder, those are going to be checking against the model and the stock and not the fixture itself. In post-processing, we're going to change the program number, and it's going to be 10,011. The WCS offset is going to be 0, and we're not using multiple WCS offsets here, but we do want to add a program comment. We're going to call this one Stock Prep. So now we've created our new setup. You'll notice that inside of our browser we have our Soft Draw setup 1 and 2, we have our multi-axis setup, then we have setup 4. I'm going to rename this to be Stock Prep. And again, we want to place it appropriately in our browser. So I'm going to drag it up above my multi-axis, and that way it's in a good location. We can create the soft draw setups before, and we have to create the stock prep operations before we can start our multi-axis setup. From here, let's go ahead and save this file before we move on to the next step.